This footage was captured in Flint, Michigan on April 24th, 2023.
It's not good.
The house had two
When
ring
the TV
cameras,
goes
one
dark,
above the
it
garage and the
reflects.
other was a Ring doorbell camera.
It reflects on me.
Around 10 p.m., a
Yeah.
man in a red jacket and another
I don't
person
think
just
about it.
behind him are shown walking up to the house's front door.
Thank
Before
you.
knocking or ringing the doorbell, the man in the jacket
Very nice.
immediately starts trying to break down the door.
Do you want the lights on? Should I turn it?
The Ring camera falls to the ground from the impacts, but the door itself doesn't budge. After those few seconds, the man walks around to the house's side door and again immediately starts trying to break it down. By this point, the homeowner had woken up in a panic and was checking their camera's feed for an explanation. They noticed their doorbell camera on the ground, and so they switched over to their other camera. As the banging noise rang out throughout the house, they could now see what was causing it.
That's creepy. Creepy.
The homeowner's voice coming over the speaker was enough to scare the two men off. Police were called out to the property. When they reviewed the footage, they noted that one of the men was armed. What these two men planned to do with the people inside if they had successfully broken in is unknown. It's unclear if they were ever identified by police.
I need to do something.
This clip was captured at 3 in the morning on April 9th, 2023. It happened in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Look, she's
The
trying to
homeowner was
open the
sleeping when
door.
the clip was recorded. It wasn't until he woke up and saw a notification on his phone that he found out about it. He reviewed the footage, horrified. This is what he saw. A woman is shown trying multiple different keys to get into the house, and even looking around for a hidden one.
You're gonna see. Come on, Nightbot. Don't be sleeping. Really? There we go.
The homeowner claimed that he had never seen this woman before. He said that she later started throwing rocks at his car and trying those locks. It's likely she was under the influence of something. Multiple times she tries to insert keys into the doorbell camera itself. After a few minutes, she walks off and was never seen on the property again. Her intentions are unknown. Walter Hickox is a homeowner in Daytona Beach, Florida. His home is set out in a wooded section of the city. In January of 2022, Walter was taking his 3 dogs out onto the porch when he noticed one of them intently looking at something outside. The dogs suddenly start running to the left side of the camera, and that's when Walter realizes they were looking at a black bear. The bear climbs over a protected railing as it goes for the dogs.
Right there. In the porch.
With barely any time to process what he was seeing, Walter lunges at the bear as it goes for his dogs. He manages to push it back before he shoves a nearby chair in the doorway, preventing it from attacking again. He yells out that he was attacked by a bear as he brings his dogs back inside.
When I had time to just
Fuck
sit
you,
and
Fly, get off the
stare,
TV.
it all hit me, and I started bawling. I couldn't believe how close to death I was, and I did it for my dog.
Walter received minor injuries from the bear. His dogs didn't receive any injuries.
I really need to put up that
This
mosquito
homeowner in
net.
Texas got a knock at their door for a DoorDash delivery around 1:20 in the morning. Only the homeowner hadn't ordered DoorDash. She was sleeping. It was only her and her nephew in the home at the time. She remembers waking up to a metal clinking sound, but didn't think much of it until she noticed damage to the outside of her house the next morning. This caused her to look back at her cameras, both the footage from her doorbell camera and the one she had set up in her backyard. This is what she saw.
DoorDash.
Yeah, right.
The first video isn't as concerning. A woman standing at the door, claiming to be with DoorDash from 1:20 a.m. to 2 a.m. This could be written off as a determined delivery driver that unknowingly had the wrong address. But it was the backyard
The
footage
goat.
that was genuinely concerning.
Great
At 2
name.
a.m., 4 men got into the backyard and tried to gain entry into the home
The
through the window.
Linda said,
It's likely they
the
planned
goat,
on
and
entering
I
through the
said,
front door by
yeah,
ambushing
the
the
goat,
person
great
that
name.
opened it for the DoorDash delivery.
what? Hi, the goat,
But
can I
when no one
speak
answered,
with
they
you?
resorted
What?
to trying the backyard.
Hey, this
The
is
fake
my
DoorDash
stream.
deliverer stayed out front as a distraction.
What the fuck?
However, fortunately, the men would be unsuccessful and are shown
That's
running
weird.
away from the house on the backyard camera. The 4 men and the woman at the front door were all seen leaving the area together in a dark-colored sedan.
What?
They were never caught by police.
Yeah, what? The fly?
The fly is live.
The fly what?
In June of
The fly was
2019, multiple homes in Chicago
The
got a
fly
visit
is
from a man
now
claiming to be
famous.
an investigator known as Jeff Rushmore.
What?
The only problem is that man doesn't exist. He was impersonating an investigator with the local police department, fully
What?
equipped with a fake uniform, a fake badge, and fake police
I don't
radio
know.
chatter.
Can't
This
your
ring
TV
camera
turn
caught him
on by you
performing the act.
turning on your... Fuck, your PlayStation is on.
Yeah. I turned off the CAC.
I don't know, try turning it on with my remote.
You can.
Where's my remote?
Pause and me trying to.
Should I just pause this? My TV's gonna shut off.
Yeah. It's.
Where's my...
Yeah, fuck.
My TV shut off.
I did it. Wait.
Okay.
Just wait. I'm going to turn
I'm
on
just-
both.
I'm just looking for my remote. Where the fuck did... I found my TV remote. It's so dark in
Good.
here.
Oopsie.
There we go.
Shit happens.
I guess that's what happens when you have the same TVs.
Oops.
Yeah.
Shit happens.
Kind of weird. You know. 3 years ago. You know how you do that, right?
What?
You press on their names and you
I
can... Okay. Yeah, but you can't do it on someone who doesn't speak and only does click the
The
send
homeowner
hi
doesn't answer the door.
for some
And the
reason.
man stays in character, even faking
That's
a
a
call
bit
back
weird,
reporting the unresponsive homeowner. Another home in the area equipped with a Ring doorbell camera shows the same man. This time the homeowner does open the door.
But you gave it a like. Thank you.
See? 2?
Oh, this is one for me. Nice.
Hi, sorry about the delay. Rushmore with the Winfield Police Department.
Yeah, right.
Investigator.
Police.
One of your neighbors down the street reported a missing.
The video cuts out there. The man explains a missing person case, and when the homeowner says he doesn't know anything about it, the interaction ends. The motives behind him impersonating an investigator are unknown. Often there are cases like this where the man is simply trying to get people to open their door thinking they're safe, but proceed to rob them, or sometimes worse. However, he doesn't do this. No one knows his motives. One commenter said, "I honestly believe he was testing the waters, and as he felt more confident, he would have escalated from getting people to open their door to entering into people's homes to only God knows what next." According to recent documents, the man was never identified. This video was captured in Kansas City. The doorbell footage shows a man appearing on the left side of the screen and climbing on the guardrail. He was trying to stay out of frame as he attempted to
What
take
the
the Ring camera off of the home. Inside the home was a woman and her
They
son.
are stuck.
Oh.
The man was the
Yeah,
woman's
they-
ex-boyfriend. He failed to remove the camera, so he left, but returned 30 minutes later. This time he had a cloth to cover the camera.
It's a bit too late when you've already been seen by the camera.
3 minutes later, the homeowner's son ran into her room, frantic, telling her their car was on fire. Police and firefighters were called to the scene, but
Oh
not
my
before
God.
the fire destroyed their car and most of their home. Marianne, an expert in abusive relationships, responded with, "Abusive relationships are about power and control, and when that power and control is taken away or it's minimized, then what we see is those efforts are escalated to try and get them back." Police are currently looking for the homeowner's ex-boyfriend seen in the video. This happened in April of 2023 in a
Black
wooded
bears.
section of Asheville, North Carolina.
They're actually very
The
cute.
homeowner of this house got a
Small.
notification saying motion was detected in her front door. She opened the app on her phone and saw 3 bears on her front porch. They were tearing open a package that had recently been delivered. Inside the package was dog food, which they easily would have been able to smell. The homeowner opened her door and confronted the animals, trying to scare them off.
I would not fucking confront bears.
You can do that. If it's black, just make sound. If it's brown,
With
play
what?
dead.
With what, sir?
If it's a brown bear, play dead.
Yeah.
If it's a black bear, make sound.
Yeah.
They get scared.
Well, I need to buy an air banger for 300 euros. So I can scare every single living thing. They are hungry!
Aww.
The bears take one of the 2 bags of dog food inside the package.
I mean, it's better
They're seen on the
to...
right side of the screen with the bag in their mouth as
It's
they
much
walk
better
off.
that they take the dog food than that you get hurt.
This footage was
Fuck, the
captured
last
at night
bandit.
just before 2 a.m.
Looks
It
like
shows
a
a man
painting.
ringing the doorbell to this home in
The
Rochester,
last
New
gambit.
York. Immediately after, he hides behind the parked car. He's seen crouched down, holding some kind of club in his hand, breathing heavily and sweating profusely. He nervously looks back and forth from out at the street to back at the house's front door.
It's cold. I'm getting cold.
Oh.
Yeah.
The man clearly looks to be on something. When he realizes no one was going to answer the door, he walks away. Another minute passes when a voice yells out that the police are on their way. It's unclear whose voice this is. There are 2 main possibilities here. Either this man was hiding from someone for one reason or another, and he was trying to get inside a house so that he wouldn't be found, the voice being the person he was hiding from. Or he was trying to bait the homeowner into opening the door, where he then planned to do who knows what. The voice here being a concerned neighbor that saw what he was doing. Either way, the man most likely did not have the best intentions.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Oh shit. I also need to do that soon. How late is it actually? No, it's not that bad. Well, I can do half an hour stream or something, or more. I mean, I can do more, but I will see. As long as I have time to do the debris. I mean, that's not Maybe scary
Storm
in one way, but
Storm
disturbing at
Debuel
least.
was a 22-year-old Belgian YouTuber known for sharing his adventures
Should I
across Northern
lower the
Europe.
volume?
He never spoke in any of his videos and instead used the ambient sounds of nature to make his viewers feel like they were right there with him.
That is actually very relaxing.
And while he started uploading videos in August of 2024, he'd actually been solo camping ever since he was just 19 years old. At one point, he even biked over 3,700 miles or over 6,000 kilometers across Sweden all on his own.
Ooh.
So he had plenty of experience surviving in the wilderness alone. However, when nature turns unpredictable, even the most prepared adventurers find themselves struggling to survive. Tragically, that's exactly what happened with Storm on the night of October 29th, 2024. He was recording another video, this time traveling through the Jokkmokk region located in the Swedish Lapland, known for its beautiful snowy vistas and frequent aurora sightings. Now, Storm usually parked his car in a nearby town and then ventured into the
Did you
wilderness
see?
on foot with his camping gear.
Yeah.
These
Okay.
trips often lasted multiple days, sometimes even a
I
whole
want
week
that
before
gun,
he made it
stop.
back. October 29th was the last day of
Yeah,
one of these
primary.
trips. He was making his way back and
The
was only a
primary you
day's
have
walk away
selected.
from his car.
Yeah.
But it was quickly getting dark, and continuing to walk would have been extremely dangerous. So Storm made the decision to set up his tent and sleep for the night. A cold breeze was already sweeping through the region, prompting Storm to mound snow around his tent as a makeshift barrier before going to sleep. Unfortunately, nothing could have prepared him for the extreme weather he was about to encounter. Because just a few hours after setting his tent, the Jokkmokk region got hit by an intense blizzard with winds reaching up to 75 miles per hour or around 120 kilometers per hour.
Holy shit.
Snow quickly started piling up all around his tent as well. But worst of all, the temperature not only fell below freezing to 21 Fahrenheit or -6 Celsius, the strong wind made it feel as cold as 0 Fahrenheit or -18 Celsius.
Shit.
Maybe he realized the gravity of his situation at this point and wanted to contact his loved ones. Because at around midnight, his friend received a video of him showing his tent getting torn apart by the terrifyingly strong wind, with him stating, "Tonight it's going to get worse. Jesus Christ." He also called his grandmother right after and reassured her of his safety, stating,
That's a nice
"It's snowing
one.
heavily here, but
Yeah.
don't worry, I'll
Nice
survive,
one,
you know."
Yeah.
Then, at 2:36 a.m., the Swedish authorities received an SOS call from Storm. He reported multiple injuries, including a broken nose, and requested immediate help. Unfortunately, the strong wind made it impossible to reach him with the helicopter, and the snow obstructed any rescue efforts on the ground. The blizzard eventually subsided at around 10 a.m., and the rescuers rushed to Storm's last known location. Sadly, by the time they found him, it was already too late. The lower half of his body had turned purple due to the extreme cold, and even the blood on his face from the broken nose was frozen solid. Oddly enough, he was found roughly 1.6 miles or 2.6 kilometers away from his collapsed tent. It's unclear if he was forced to ditch the tent after it collapsed or if he set out before that happened. In either case, he was walking towards his car when he likely fell, broke his nose, and then contacted the authorities. The only silver lining in Storm's tragic end is that at least he died doing what he loved, as he told his father when he first started going on these solo camping trips. "Dad, it took me a long time to know what I wanted, but that's what I want." Hannah Rose Moody was a 31-year-old YouTuber and influencer from Scottsdale, Arizona. And while most of her content on YouTube revolved around her faith as a Christian, her Instagram account posted mostly different content. There, she made regular posts about her hiking adventures across the rocky desert terrain of Arizona. Hitting the trails several times a week had become a natural part of her routine ever since she moved to Arizona 6 months earlier. And May 21st was supposed to be no different. She got up early and quickly drove to the Gateway Trailhead located in the McDowell Sonoran Preserve. She parked her car and began the roughly 4.5-mile or 7-kilometer hike across the Loop Trail. It was a moderately challenging
That
trail with a
doesn't look
rocky
nice to
path
walk on.
and noticeable elevation changes, but nothing
That doesn't
Hannah
look
had
nice to
tackled
walk on.
before. She felt fairly confident she could finish the hike in under 3 hours, and even made plans to hang out with friends at lunch. Unfortunately, what started as just another ordinary hike ended with a devastating tragedy. Her friends were the first to sense something was wrong when Hannah didn't show up for lunch on time. She didn't send any messages about running late and wasn't picking up her phone either. It wasn't like her to ghost people out of nowhere. So, after waiting at the restaurant for many hours, her friends decided to check on Hannah at her home at around 7:50 p.m., hoping she was simply resting after a tough hike. But when they arrived at her house, her car was missing from the driveway, the lights were off, and the door was locked. Seeing this, they immediately contacted the authorities. They found her car still parked at the trailhead, and it wasn't long before the search party was looking for Hannah across the Gateway Loop Trail with helicopters, drones, and canines. The search was eventually called off at 11:30 p.m. due to the darkness, and resumed the next morning with even more people partaking in the search. This went on till about 12:05 p.m. when a helicopter pilot made the heartbreaking discovery Hannah's friends and family were dreading all night. Just 600 yards off the trail, rescuers discovered the remains of Hannah Moody lying face down on the desert ground. Hannah was dead, and likely had been for several hours. However, there was nothing that could explain her end right away. There were no signs of foul play, no intoxicating substances were found in her system, and she didn't even have any serious head injuries from a fall or stumble. With that, the only explanation investigators were able to come up with was that Hannah lost her life due to extreme heat. You see, the temperature in the Gateway Trail region soared to over 102 Fahrenheit, or about 39 Celsius the day prior when Hannah was hiking. She likely suffered from a heat stroke and wandered off the designated path in confusion before collapsing and eventually passing away, leaving her YouTube and Instagram videos as an unintentional final goodbye to her loved ones.
That's horrible.
Mhm.
And no
Finn
drinking while it's
Creedy was a
hot. It's
33-year-old
fucking
survival expert from the Pitt County area in Scotland. Utilizing the skills he had, Finn operated a survival school in the area called Wildcat Bushcraft, teaching kids general wilderness survival skills as well as bushcraft, which, for those who don't know, includes things like foraging, hunting,
That's
and
right.
building shelter out of natural materials.
dangerous.
The business was also accompanied by a YouTube channel of the same name, where Finn shared his knowledge and
That's
experience
nice.
with the world for free.
God damn
His
it.
content was both informative and
talking to
entertaining,
you.
allowing him to slowly build a small but loyal audience. What
talking
these
to
viewers
you,
didn't
that's
realize,
nice.
however,
That's
was
nice.
that one day
Bushcraft.
this very channel would also play a role in
Bushcraft.
Finn's tragic end. Things went south on the 25th of March 2022 when Finn was dropped off at the B873 road near Loch Naver in Sutherland. His goal was to head south and hike the 45-mile
just
distance
south.
to the small village of Golspie and make a video about the bushcrafting skills he had used along the way. Now, his family knew the journey would take more than a day, so they weren't too concerned when he didn't reach his destination right away. But then 3 days passed, and there was no sign of Finn anywhere. Even more concerning was the fact that he didn't make any contact throughout this time, with every call from his family going straight to voicemail. So, on day 3, Finn's father called the police and filed a missing person report, all while holding on to the hope that his son was simply lost, had broken his phone, or was just taking his time on the hike. Sadly, that couldn't have been further from the truth. In reality, Finn had somehow vanished from the area without a trace. And despite the police spending months searching the area surrounding Loch Naver, they couldn't find a single clue about his current whereabouts. Finn was even featured on a British unsolved mystery-style show about missing people called Vanished, but that also led nowhere. However, even after a year of fruitless searching, his father Mark didn't give up and kept looking for his son on his own. And after 19 months of following this same routine, he finally found the first real clue, Finn's backpack, partially hidden in the bushes along the bank of Loch Naver. While Mark never disclosed exactly what was inside, it gave him and the rest of Finn's family reason to believe that Finn had tried to take a shortcut across the loch and ended up drowning by accident. So, after searching for his body for a few more months, they made the tough decision to stop searching and accept the fact that Finn was truly gone. That said, many on the internet find it hard to believe that Finn actually tried to swim across the Naver and lost control in the process. Many asked why a professional survivalist would make such a rookie
That's how
mistake,
it goes,
especially when
Yeah,
he still had a
yeah.
multiple miles long journey ahead of him, even if he had somehow made it across the Loch Naver. This doubt has given rise to many alternative theories that attempt to explain his mysterious disappearance. These range from fairly out there speculations, like Finn doing this to fake his own death and build a new life, to some truly chilling hypotheticals, like Finn going into the loch on purpose to end it all. Unfortunately, there just isn't enough evidence to confirm or deny any of these theories. What exactly happened to Finn remains a mystery to this day. Andrew Cross was a 36-year-old outdoor YouTuber from Grand Junction, Colorado. His channel, Desert Drifter, featured content that could only be described as archaeology mixed with exploration. He visited and made videos about any place he found interesting, from thousands years old stone walls to abandoned German spy caves from World War II. Beyond just being educational, his videos also boasted top-tier production quality, helping Andrew amass a massive audience in just 14 months on YouTube. Most
14
importantly,
months,
his viewers
what the
loved
fuck?
his content and eagerly waited for the next upload. But then Andrew suddenly stopped posting after his upload in January 2025. Some assumed he was simply taking a break, while others figured the delay was due to his next video taking longer to produce. It wasn't until the 2nd of February that viewers received the truth from Andrew's wife, Evelyn. And it was far worse than any of his fans could have imagined. Andrew had gotten into a horrible car accident. He was waiting at a stoplight on the intersection between First Street and North Avenue in Grand Junction, while on his way back from shooting a video about the Bears Ears National Monument in Utah on January 31st, 2025. When, out of nowhere, an out-of-control car rear-ended Andrew at an extremely high speed, resulting in his car flipping over and causing severe brain damage. He was rushed to a nearby hospital almost immediately. Unfortunately, it was already too late. He spent over a month in the ICU and was put on life support. During this time, it became abundantly clear that Andrew sadly had no chance of recovering from his injuries. So, on March 4th at around 10:50 a.m., his family made the difficult decision to let him rest and remove the life support system keeping him on the edge of life. This was devastating news for his hundreds of thousands of fans who were blissfully looking forward to his next upload not too long ago. These fans also banded together and raised over $544,000 for Andrew's family in their time of need. As for the person responsible for the crash, named Ragnar Nicholas Crystal, he was arrested 20 days later on February 21st and was later charged with vehicular homicide and driving under the influence. He's still awaiting conviction at the time of writing.
You're not gonna go camping if you watch this,
Mm.
I think.
There's something about the silence of the forest at night.
Huh?
But
I
what
don't
if
know.
that silence is broken by something you can't explain? We're diving into the 6 most disturbing camping encounters ever recorded. These clips will make you think twice about ever stepping into the woods alone again. Let's delve straight into this first disturbing encounter.
Yeah, going
Would you
alone
be
in the
brave
woods
enough to
would
spend the night
probably
in one of
be
the
a very
world's
bad
most
idea.
haunted
I
locations?
do it all the time.
YouTuber CJ
Oh.
Fawn and his friend Mo took that risk on August 13th, 2023, when they set out on a spine-chilling trip to Burnt Bridge Road in Mississippi, an area long known
Why
for
is
its
it so
terrifying
delayed?
legends. According to local folklore, the
That's
restless
weird.
spirit of a young girl haunts this stretch of road, lashing out at anyone who dares to pass through. As CJ and Mo began their investigation, the quiet hum of crickets filled the night air, giving the illusion of peace. But the silence was only a mask. What awaited them would be far from ordinary.
Oh, it's CJ Jason.
That's a gunshot, bro.
Gunshots ring out in the distance, casting doubt on how safe their chosen campsite really is. Before settling in for the night, CJ and Mo decide to take a cautious walk through the surrounding woods.
Oh yeah, most sorry.
CJ can't help but think
The
back to
YouTuber.
his previous trip
I
to
had
Burnt Bridge Road.
a
A
pair of
night he'll never
sunglasses with
forget.
his name
He
signed
had
on them.
witnessed a shadowy figure crossing the haunted bridge.
They sadly
And the
broke.
unsettling memory still
Oh,
lingers with him.
But it was
After
also
a
kind of
tense and
pointless
quiet hike
because
through the dark forest,
they
they
were
return
just
to the
more
van
expensive
and try to
than
get some rest.
they were worth.
But rest doesn't come easy. Strange
More
sounds begin
expensive
to
than they
echo
were
around
useful?
them. Soft,
Yeah,
eerie
that's it.
noises, like someone or something brushing against the outside of the vehicle.
You good? What's up? You good? Yeah, you good? I can't
Oh wait,
stop
that's not.
staring at the damn
That's
window.
no. That's not Mo
You still
Sargent.
awake? Fucking hell, I'm
It's someone else.
asleep. How long can I sleep for?
Choosing to stay quiet rather than confront whatever might be outside, they shut the van's window covers, though the door remains exposed. CJ can't shake the creeping feeling that they're not alone. I keep staring at that window, he says, clearly disturbed. like something or someone might be watching from the shadows.
What was that? Not fucking now. What the fuck is that? I don't want to see anything.
Finally, they managed to fall asleep, but not for long.
Oh, wait. What the fuck is that? The earthquake. What was that? Man, I was just swaying side to side, dude. Let's go out there and fucking look for it. Fuck that, dude. I'm not going out there. Fuck that.
No, come on, seriously.
No, I'm not going out there, dude.
Was it? Is the van still rocking?
Feel it.
I wonder why there's such a delay
The
when
van starts shaking violently,
Using
jolting
Bluetooth.
CJ and Mo awake, heart pounding.
it's so annoying.
CJ steps outside to investigate. He walks over the bridge, finding no one until he sees a shadowy.
What was that?
Okay. In the van. In the fucking van. In the van.
Going into abandoned buildings alone at night can be downright terrifying. But what if you stumble upon something or someone you'd rather not face? Tonight, we're uncovering 6 of the most spine-chilling encounters ever caught on camera. These stories will have you thinking twice before ever setting foot in an abandoned building alone again. Let's jump straight into the first unsettling encounter. But before we begin, just a quick warning. The last video is truly disturbing. Well-known YouTuber Urbex Hill has carved out a niche in the thrilling world of urban exploration, captivating an audience of over 260,000 subscribers with his daring adventures into the forgotten corners of the world. His channel is a window into the abandoned, a journey through crumbling buildings and desolate landscapes that many would never dare to explore. Urbex Hill's camera captures the stark beauty of decay, the haunting stillness of places left behind, and the whispers of the past that linger in every shadowed corner. With each new video, he challenges the limits of urban exploration, boldly stepping into increasingly hazardous and forbidden locations. On May 30th, 2023, at the bewitching hour of 1 a.m., Urbex Hill embarked on one of his most spine-chilling expeditions yet, an exploration of the Robert Fulton School. This long-abandoned institution, shuttered and forgotten, was rumored to have remained untouched since its closure. However, as Urbex Hill would soon discover, not everything was as it seemed. The atmosphere inside the school was heavy, each step echoing ominously in the empty halls. An unsettling feeling grew within him, a creeping sense that he was not alone in the decaying structure. His flashlight cast wavering beams across peeling walls and broken windows, but it couldn't dispel the nagging feeling of being watched.
The decay is crazy in here.
In a moment that sent chills down the spines of his viewers, a black figure appeared to glide past the doorway, just barely visible in the corner of the frame. Urbex Hill, engrossed in his exploration, didn't seem to notice the eerie presence. For those watching, the possibility that he was not alone added a layer of suspense.
That was boring.
See me?
Oof, that was hard.
Hmm.
YouTube channels abandoned for disturbing reasons. Okay.
Elliot Eastman was a 26-year-old man from Vermont, USA. He spent most of his early years in the tiny town of Heinsberg. Life there was calm and peaceful, but with a population of less than 600 residents, it was also quite boring. Elliot wanted to do something more with his life. So, with his love for nature and exploration in mind, he saved up some money and traveled to the Philippines near the end of 2023.
By the way,
He wanted to slowly make his way through the
Did you
entire
end up-
country and witness its beauty
Huh?
for...
did you end up texting your best friend?
My what?
Your best friend?
Why?
Who was there?
No. He was texting. I don't think he actually did.
Okay.
By the way, where's the water? Thank you.
hand. But just a couple months into his trip, he met a local woman named Carisha Jayla. The two started dating and got married just a few months after that, in July of 2023. Then, in January 2024, Elliot started posting videos on YouTube, documenting his life in the Philippines with his wife. His videos were simple, without any over-the-top music or crazy editing effects, but they felt authentic and real, allowing him to amass a small but dedicated fan base. Though his content took a massive shift in May 2024 when he decided to move to the beachside village his wife was from in the Cebuco municipality. Unfortunately, it wasn't long before this spiraled into the worst decision he'd ever make. You see, Cebuco is part of what's known as the Red Zone in the Philippines. Put simply, this is the most dangerous section of the country, especially for foreigners. Armed robberies, kidnappings, and even murders are not uncommon in this region, with over 40 Westerners going missing there in just the last decade. However, Elliot was well aware of this fact, as evident from his description, which read, "I'm Elliot Eastman. I am 26 years old and I came to the Philippines about a year and a half ago, where I met the love of my life deep in the mountains of the Red Zone of the Philippines. I will be showing you my day-to-day life as the first and only foreigner to have ever lived here in Cebuco for a long period of time." He mentioned the danger in some of his video titles as well, but despite the threat to his life, he still wanted to build a life in Cebuco. So he rented an apartment and even built his own grocery shop near the beach, all while documenting the entirety of his journey on YouTube. Now, there were times when he felt threatened and had to hide from some locals to avoid getting in serious trouble. But despite the somewhat dire circumstances, Elliot was enjoying his time in Cebuco and slowly building the life he wanted. However, just when things were starting to look up for Elliot, tragedy struck. The incident took place on the night of October 17, 2024, when, after doing several short live streams throughout the day, Elliot went offline and sat for dinner with his wife and her parents. But then, a few minutes later, 4 men with guns barged into their home and started telling Elliot to go outside. These men were also wearing outfits similar to those of the Filipino police, likely in hopes of making Elliot more cooperative. Elliot, however, saw through their disguise and tried to run away. Unfortunately, that's when things went from bad to worse. One of them opened fire and ended up shooting Elliot twice, once in the leg and once in the abdomen. They then dragged him onto the speedboat they had docked near their home and sped off into the darkness. This was the last time anyone saw Elliot alive. By the time the police launched a search and rescue mission, the kidnapper's boat was nowhere to be found. The investigation then went on for nearly a month until the 12th of November. But when the police eventually located the kidnappers, they were forced into a shootout, resulting in 3 of the 4 culprits losing their lives. And while they did manage to arrest the last kidnapper, it was already too late. According to the kidnapper, Elliot succumbed to his injuries when he was on the speedboat. So the kidnappers simply threw his body overboard to hide the primary evidence of their crime. Unfortunately, the police were unable to locate his remains and pronounced him officially dead in December of 2024. However, one question still remained unanswered. Why? Why did these 4 criminals target Elliot? Well, the simplest explanation is also the most likely one. They just wanted to kidnap him for ransom. Carisha even had a first-hand experience with this, as back in high school, one of her Canadian classmates was kidnapped and held for a ransom of $50,000 US. That said, there's also a second potential explanation that has to do with Elliot's side business. You see, while operating his grocery store, Elliot also started lending the locals money for 20% interest. A local loan shark likely saw him as a competitor and sought to eliminate Elliot before he took away any more of his business. This would also explain why the intruders were so quick to open fire if they wanted to hold him for ransom. Regardless of their motive, the end result was the loss of a young man trying to make a life for himself with his wife in a foreign land. His YouTube channel now sits abandoned, with its many uploads remaining as proof as the life he once lived.
That's so fucking sad.
Benjamin Pardue, known online as Warner the Goobermeister, was a comedian creator on YouTube who primarily focused on creating a genre of memes known as YouTube poops, which is a subgenre of online humor that revolves around taking clips from other shows, usually cartoons, and editing them to have a bizarre, often nonsensical tone. Over time, Benjamin's channel had amassed over 8.7 million views, making him a well-known name in the YTP community. But after his upload on December 21st, 2021, he suddenly vanished from the internet, leaving his fans wondering what could have happened. Unfortunately, the reason for his disappearance was far more tragic than simply getting bored and moving on from the channel, as most of his audience had assumed. The incident took place on the 27th of January 2022, when his older brother Chris tried to contact him many times but didn't hear back. Left with no other option, Chris called the police at around 8 p.m. to check on his parents and little brother. When the officers arrived at his house, the lights were on, but no one was answering the door. After repeated knocks, the officers knew something was off, so they decided to break in. But nothing could have prepared them for the horrific scene they saw behind that door. Inside, they found the bodies of Benjamin and his parents, all with visible gunshot wounds. However, what looked like a robbery gone wrong turned out to be far more tragic. According to the investigation, both Benjamin and his mother Deborah were shot by his father that evening, who, after committing the crime, decided to end things for himself as well. The news of this incident was a massive shock for Benjamin's viewers, as he'd never mentioned any family troubles before. Chris later set up a GoFundMe page in November of 2022, which not only allowed Benjamin's fans to support the only living member of his family, it also gave some insight into what might have happened. According to Chris, Benjamin was born in 2005 and was soon diagnosed with autism. This made it difficult for him to interact with people in person. Because of this, he was homeschooled, and at just 8 years old, he started uploading on YouTube, hoping to make friends and find a sense of community. Sadly, Benjamin's condition was far from the only challenge their family had to face. Deborah was also suffering from nerve damage after an accident, and the father Gregory had also gotten in a car accident in the past and could barely walk. On top of that, the family was also struggling with severe financial issues, which could explain why Gregory felt the need to take such a drastic measure, seemingly out of nowhere. As Chris puts it, "My dad was a proud man. He was ashamed to ask or seek out help." Although Benjamin's content was somewhat niche, it left a big impact on those who came across it, with some even uploading new videos in his style to keep his memory alive. Harley Dilly was a YouTube channel run by a 14-year-old teenager from Ohio with the same name. He created the channel in 2013 to share his love of gaming, specifically the sports game Madden, with others. He also uploaded vlogs on YouTube, where he talked about anything that was on his mind that day. But for Harley himself, these were more than just videos. They were one of the many forms of escape he had from his troubled life. You see, Harley suffered from oppositional defiant disorder and was also diagnosed with high-functioning autism. This resulted in him getting into heated arguments with his parents quite often, and subsequently ending up in a worse situation. In one instance, he even posted a video talking about how he was locked out of the house after an argument with his mother, titled, "I'm Scared."
Hey guys, what's up? It is Harley Dilly. Probably one of my worst days of my life. I was at school and I was science test. I finished it and my computer says 1% battery left. So I get to the next class and I put it on charger as quick as possible, but it didn't charge. None of the computers would take a charge. So I took it back and I had to fill out a complaint, and that's one of the most expensive parts of the computer. And my mom said she's not paying anything. We argued for about a good 5 minutes. Then she snapped. She said she was gonna call police, and she said she already did. And she locked me out of the house. So right now I'm outside. Yep, the house is locked. It is 3:30. I haven't ate anything, and I still haven't even got to get my work done. My mom's gone. She won't answer the phone.
There were also allegations of some of his family members being physically aggressive to him. But despite all this, Harley was still a cheerful kid who wanted nothing more than to play Madden and grow his YouTube channel. Unfortunately, this ambition was tragically cut short on December 20th, 2019, when Harley went to school and never came back. The day had started off rough. Harley was still upset after arguing with his parents the night before, as they had refused to replace his broken smartphone. He also didn't want to go to school that day. But his mother Heather woke up early that day and, after some more arguing, convinced him to go. He left his house just before 7 a.m., but he was somehow absent from school and didn't return home that evening either. Harley had disappeared without a trace. Surprisingly, his family didn't report him missing until 11:50 p.m. on December 21st, nearly 43 hours after he vanished. Their explanation for the delay was simple. According to them, Harley had spent the night at friends' houses without telling them before, usually after an argument. They assumed this time was the same. However, they couldn't have been more wrong. Something that became increasingly clear as the police investigation dragged on for days without uncovering a single clue about his whereabouts. The only thing they found was this low-resolution picture of Harley going to school that was taken from a neighbor's security camera. And that was it. Eventually, many other organizations, including the FBI, joined the search as well. They also distributed his missing posters nationwide and offered an $18,000 reward, hoping to receive any information that could lead them in the right direction. Unfortunately, although they received numerous tips, none led to any significant progress in the case. That is until the 13th of January, over 23 days after Harley went missing, when the investigators made the big discovery. They were re-canvassing the area immediately surrounding Harley's home when one of the investigators decided to check out the vacant house directly across from the Dilly residence. This was a summer home and was fully locked at the time. There was also no indications of anyone breaking into the home. However, the investigators had looked everywhere else to no avail. This was one of their last options. So they acquired the key to this home and started looking around. They didn't find anything on the ground floor. But as soon as they climbed the stairs, one of them noticed a maroon puffer jacket lying on the ground, the same jacket that Harley was wearing on the morning of his disappearance. As they got closer, they also noticed his glasses lying on the floor as well. But there were no signs of Harley anywhere. Both the glasses and the jacket had also collected plenty of dirt, indicating that they must have been there for a long time. While they were looking around, one of the investigators noticed the chimney vent above where his glasses and jacket were discovered. This sort of vent is used to connect traditional wood-burning heaters. Curious to see what was in it, he reached into the hole, only for his hand to touch human hair on the other side. There was no doubt about it. That was Harley, stuck in the chimney. Officers quickly dismantled the wall, and sure enough, they found Harley's body inside, with his arms raised above his head. A later autopsy concluded that he likely passed away the day he went missing. His particular position at the time of discovery also helped investigators piece together what might have happened that day. As the story goes, Harley didn't want to go to school that day, so he decided to spend the time at the vacant home until the afternoon to make it seem like he went to school. But when he couldn't find a way in from the ground floor, he climbed onto the roof using the antenna tower beside the house. From there, he looked into the chimney and saw a relatively short drop and chose to climb down it to enter the house. However, what he failed to realize was that this chimney didn't lead to a spacious fireplace. Instead, it only connected to a couple of small vents for heater exhausts, leaving him stuck at the bottom. Due to the way he climbed down, his jacket was likely halfway removed already. So he pushed it through the vent to free up some space, and his glasses fell through as well. Sadly, there was nothing else he could do in that position. His chest was pressed tightly against the chimney's wall, making it impossible to breathe, resulting in him slowly succumbing to asphyxiation. Put simply, this was nothing more than a tragic accident. Now, given this conclusion, Harley's case should have ended there. However, some people, especially his YouTube viewers, weren't satisfied with the official report. Many of them believed that this wasn't an accident at all. Rumors started going around the internet that Harley's death was actually a murder committed by his own family. One of the first big points of contention was his jacket, since in one of the evidence images it could be seen hanging from the door. These critics claimed that this was proof of the whole story being a lie. Some also argued that the shoes he was wearing in his last picture didn't match the ones the investigators found on him. However, despite the skepticism, the police stuck with their initial report. As for the jacket issue, that turned out to be nothing more than the result of one of the inexperienced investigators mistakenly moving key evidence. That said, whatever the truth may be, it doesn't change the fact that the YouTube community lost a genuine and passionate creator. Nicholas Sonderegger was a 28-year-old YouTuber who loved two things in life: longboarding and dancing. He uploaded nearly 80 videos of himself doing both of these on his channel named Sunspeak, though his ultimate dream was to become a professional dancer. By 2017, he was living in San Diego with his friend Austin to try and make his dream come true. However, the two were completely broke and couldn't afford California's high rent prices. So, with no other option, the two decided to live in tents or random trailers they could find in the Salton Sea area. Salton Sea used to be a popular tourist destination at one point due to its status as an oasis in the middle of the desert. But the water and the surrounding area became extremely toxic over time, turning it into a complete ghost town. On the flip side, this also made living there essentially free, which is what Nick and Austin were after. But what neither of them knew at the time was that the true danger of Salton Sea had nothing to do with its toxic climate. This danger came face to face with the two on the night of September 9th, 2018 at around 2 a.m. They were asleep in their tent when suddenly they were jolted awake by an extremely loud scream coming from the tree line not far from their camp. Fearing for their safety, they decided to just ignore it altogether and go back to sleep. Or that's at least what Austin thought. For some unknown reason, Nick later decided to go investigate the scream on his own after Austin had fallen back asleep. By the time Austin woke up the next morning, Nick was gone. He tried looking around for his longtime friend around town and discovered his flashlight lying on the ground, just a block away from their tent. He immediately contacted the police and reported Nick as missing, who began looking for him almost immediately. But all they found was one of his boots, his pants, and his knife sleeve. His other boot, as well as his wallet and keys, were missing. More importantly, Nick himself was nowhere to be found. What made the situation even more bizarre was what happened days later. Austin returned to the same area he had already searched, but this time he found Nick's shirt and hat lying there, items that weren't there before. In other words, someone had likely placed them in that spot later. Sadly, the identity of this person was never uncovered, leaving Nick's case a complete mystery to this day. Nick's family has set up a website with all the information they have. They've also announced a $10,000 reward for any useful information. But despite these efforts, the case has remained cold. In fact, there are so few clues that I wasn't even able to find any solid theories either. Some have speculated that Austin might have killed Nick and hidden his body. However, the police investigation uncovered no evidence of foul play. There's still a chance that some unexpected discovery would crack this case wide open. But until then, Nick's disappearance remains an unsolved mystery, and his YouTube channel remains abandoned.